In this episode of the podcast, we talk about reality shows versus game shows and how the casting affects one another in this episode of the podcast. Welcome to the How to Get on Reality TV podcast with Dan Giesling, where I answer your reality TV casting questions once a week. Hey guys, and welcome to the 25th episode of the How to Get on Reality TV podcast. My name's Dan Giesling. I'm very excited to be here today because we have a great question from Dan about game shows versus reality TV shows and how they affect one another. Before we get into that, I do want to let you guys know that if you have not joined the email list, I encourage you to do so. I send out valuable, what is important, and it's valuable information that's not on the podcast in terms of casting calls that you may want to attend to, or little tips and tricks that I come across, or expand upon from each episode. If you guys haven't joined the email list, I encourage you to do so by going to howtogetonrealitytv.net/calls, and you'll opt in there. It's completely free. There's no spam, and you get a little bit more information and value than you would just listening to the podcast. So if you want to take it one step further, you can join the email list by going to howtogetonrealitytv.net/calls. And let's go ahead and jump into Dan's question, which is an interesting one. It puts into perspective another type of audition and a different type of show, and how that impacts, we're talking about game shows, something like Jeopardy, and how that impacts your chances to get on a reality TV competition show. So let's go ahead and take a listen to Dan's question.
Hey Dan, this is also Dan. I have a question about applying to game shows as well as reality competition game shows. So here it is. I've been applying to Survivor and Big Brother for a while now. Haven't made any headway yet. So to hedge my bets, I'm going to take the Jeopardy test coming up soon, and then I'll see how that goes. However, if I make it on Jeopardy, will that hurt or help my chances of getting on Survivor or Big Brother? Also, if I don't make it on Jeopardy, should I include that process or that desire and goal of mine in my story for applying for Big Brother and Survivor? Thanks. Love the podcast. Bye.
Hey Dan, thanks for the kind words, and even more thanks for submitting your question via voicemail through the website. Appreciate when you guys take the time to do that, and even when they're specific like this, you guys hear me say that all the time. But so Dan's asking, look, I want to apply for Jeopardy. He hasn't necessarily had a ton of success in casting for reality TV or for reality TV competition shows this far. So he's going to go ahead and put himself out there for a game show. And I think that's a great idea. The things that you apply to from your reality TV casting story, whether for a competition show, applies to the same things when you're applying for game shows. But that wasn't your question. Your question was, essentially, you're like hedging your bets. You're saying, okay, well, look, I've been trying out for Survivor and Big Brother. I haven't got any action. Let me try something else. And I think that's an awesome approach. One, because you're going to gain more experience. You're going to get a feel from a different sort of casting arena in game shows, but also you're building your casting story. So you got into some specifics. You said, hey, look, if I get on Jeopardy, does that hurt my chances? No. And I say no as asterisk. If you get on Jeopardy and you do well because you enjoy the show, that's not going to hurt your casting chances. Because if you love Jeopardy, you love Jeopardy. You love Jeopardy so much that you got cast on the show. Maybe you won some money. Unless you're going on Jeopardy just to get on TV. And that's the stigma you're going to have to fight if you also apply for reality TV. So let me take that one step further. If you don't get cast on Jeopardy, if you don't get a spot on Jeopardy, you unequivocally, I don't know why I try to use unequivocally, I don't know, without a doubt, unequivocally, quote me on that, unequivocally, you don't want to talk about applying for Jeopardy when you're applying for another show. Reason being, it paints a picture that, look, this guy or this girl just wants to get on TV. So that's what you want to stay away from. So the struggles that you're having to get on Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune aren't going to help you in your struggles to get on Big Brother or Survivor or whatever reality TV competition show you're trying out for. Where it does help you is if you get cast and you do well and you win. Look, I've been on Jeopardy. It shows you're smart. I've won money. Shows you're competitive. And probably not a lot of people, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, no one's, just real quick, I can't think of a game show winner or a smart game show winner that has been on reality TV. Now, are you talking about opposing networks and things like that? Yeah, of course you have to get into that, but I wouldn't let that stop you. And in terms of, it becomes a bonus on your casting story if you talk about it in the right way. So I think you get an idea about what you don't want to do. So you don't want to paint the picture and make it seem like you're just trying to get on TV, and you don't want to use it if you don't get cast, because there's no point in doing that. But there's been people on reality TV that have been on other reality TV shows, whether it's other dating shows or like MTV shows, and then they find themselves on a CBS show. That's not really a problem. One of the things you're going to need to do, though, when you get to a second round or the second wave of paperwork, there's going to be a section that says, have you been on TV before, and what other shows have you been on? When you get to that point, make sure you are honest. Fill it out, let people know, so that way there's no surprises when it comes down to casting. So you definitely don't want to hide the fact you've been on a show, whether it's a dating show or whatnot. Just disclose that when you get to that point. I hope this helps, Dan. I appreciate the question. Since you sent in your question, we are going to send you a free copy of my electronic story, a free e-copy of my story, How a Normal Guy Got Cast on Reality TV. We're going to email that to you. So thank you for submitting your question and getting on the show. I apologize. I'm a little rattled right now because my phone rang, and normally it's on vibrate. But anyways, Dan, thank you for submitting your question. If you want to have your question answered on the show, you can do so by going to howtogetonrealitytv.net/ask. There's a voicemail app built right into the site. You can go ahead and leave it there from your phone, tablet, or computer. But Dan, thanks for asking the question. Well, that's it. It's a short episode this week, but I want to thank Dan once again for submitting his question. And just want to remind you guys that if you guys are interested in joining the email list, getting a little more in-depth than on the podcast, you can do so by joining at howtogetonrealitytv.net/calls, where you'll be sent a list of 3 choice casting calls every 2 weeks, along with a little bit more of a value breakdown or value add in terms of taking the podcast question one step further in the emails that we send as well. Hope I didn't confuse you, but just if you haven't signed up for the list, you can do it by going to howtogetonrealitytv.net/calls. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and excited to dig at another question, or answer as opposed to digging at another question next week. I'll see you guys.